lot of my readers have asked me, and I'm interested myself, what are the early signs of hoarding?
Early signs of hoarding are things like excessive purchasing and then not letting go, so over-acquiring, buying duplicates of things, starting to get into some financial debt, if you will, starting to find that the things that are being brought into the home don't have homes, if you will. That's kind of one of my themes is anytime you bring something into the house, it has to have a home. And when they start to bring stuff in and they're setting the plastic bags next to the front door or on the couch and things start to get overrun with items, those are early signs. It doesn't mean that they're going to become a hoarder because there's lots of people that just have lots of stuff that are not compulsive hoarders, but those are some of those early signs. Things like excessive plans to fix things, but it never gets done. Excessive ideas about projects that they're going to complete that never get done. Watching people purchase items that they already have, but because they can't find it, they're just going to go purchase it. So those are kind of some of the warning signs, if you will.
If someone suspects a person in their life is a hoarder, what should they do?
Well, ideally talk with them, express their concern in a very loving, caring, concerning, supportive manner. It's so important that you not talk to them in a way where you're accusing them, you're badgering them, you're making them feel bad about themselves, because when we're dealing with compulsive hoarding, oftentimes they do have a lot of guilt and shame about what's happening. And just see if, the person is receptive to, getting some help. If they are, then the next step would be to contact a therapist. It doesn't have to be a doctor, but a therapist who is identified themselves as a specialist. And one of the ways to do that would be to go to a nationally recognized website, which is called the Obsessive Compulsive Foundation, International Obsessive Compulsive Foundation, and their website is www.ocfoundation.org. And what they can do is they can click on there. They have an entire hoarding center where people can read about hoarding, read about some of the things that you and I are talking about, and there's a whole list of resources that people can tap into that are geographically located. So they can click on the state and then go to their particular city and hopefully find somebody in their area. Now, the reality is that there aren't a lot of hoarding specialists across the country. It really is a very specialized field. So if they can't find anybody in their area, then what I encourage them to do is to look at the closest surrounding area, make contact with them, and see if those doctors or therapists that they contact are aware of any resources in their area. Okay, so that's the ideal world, Frank, but I don't think that that's necessarily the reality, that anytime a family member expresses concern that the compulsive hoarder is going to comply and say, okay. If they're not, willing to acknowledge the problem and they're getting defensive, then I think what's important to do at that point is to help themselves by first getting educated about what some of the options are for them. There's a fantastic book that was written by Dr. Michael Tompkins. He's a colleague of mine who's out of the Bay Area. He wrote a book called Digging Out, and that book is entirely directed to friends, family members, loved ones who are interested in learning what they can do to help their loved one, and it's a great manual to help people get started. And then, of course, on the back end, seeking consultation themselves. I'd say more often than not, historically, I am getting family members calling saying, look, I've tried to get them to come and see you, but they won't. Can I come see you for consultation? And I'll say, absolutely. Let me help you develop some strategies to help you work with your loved one.
Are hoarders ever truly 100% cured, or is it a safe assumption that they will resort to their hoarding ways again?
That's a tough question because, I've definitely seen some people who have accepted our help, and I've done follow-up with them, and they say, you know what, I would love to have you over right now. If you could see my house, you would be blown away. And they've really, taken the principles that we've given them and just run with them. I talk about the concept of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and that's oftentimes what we see with some of these people. The key, the absolute key, is that they are able to recognize that, one, cleaning up the house is not the treatment process, that they have to understand the triggers and factors that have led to the problem, and then based on that, then they can, kind of uncover what's feeding the condition, and then learn strategies and skills to manage them. So, again, short question, long answer. The key is that they follow through with therapy until they've demonstrated kind of that long-term ability to, really curb those impulses to be purchasing or acquiring. When I say purchasing and acquiring, not all hoarders have purchased all their stuff. People are, pulling things out of neighbors' bins, dumpsters, going to yard sales and things like that. But, I don't know. I guess in the long run, are they ever cured? I can't say yes, they are cured, if you will. I do think it's a long-term process in which they have to be very mindful of when they're going back to old behaviors, much like somebody who is dealing with, an addiction, if you will.
What is the strangest item you've ever seen hoarded?
The strangest item that has ever been hoarded is 30-year-old food that the person will not get rid of because they say that they still might eat it. 30-year-old food, hundreds and hundreds of jars.
What the heck lasts for 30 years?
Well, saw it with my own eyes. It's pretty fresh. But it's there, and it was in rusted jars, hundreds of them, hundreds and hundreds of jars of it. And some of the more clearly, like halfway up the jar, it was all moldy, they were able to let go of. But if there weren't any clear visible signs of mold, they would not let us throw it away. And ironically, the daughter verified that when she was a teenager, these jars were canned. And so we actually had, somebody who observed the canning of the food and verified that it was at least that old.